Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul Show. Today we have Alex Arriaga as our expert, and he's going to be teaching us and giving us advice on how to become financially free with real estate. So I want to welcome Alex to the show. Thank you, Alex, for being here.
Thank you, Mary. I'm pretty excited to be here on your show today. I love the name of the show.
Thank you so much, and you're perfect for the show too. So,
Thank you.
way for the audience to learn from you, to give them the advice. So I want to start with the questions because I'm sure you guys, just wanna learn from they want to learn from you. So let's tell them, how do you started in real estate and what made you choose this path?
Okay. I love that question because I get that question a lot. And a lot of the people that I get that questions, and I'm gonna get to the answer to that. How do I get started? But the I get a lot because there's a lot of into the work. It probably has been for a long, long time, and people achieving a financial successful life. And in the search of a financial life that they are successful, there's so many thoughts about it. It's like, am I going to be successful because I'm going to be putting more time into it? Am I going to be successful because this financial freedom is going to work for me? It's so many questions that the ability to focus, it's what's really going to get you to catch momentum. And so that was what the story for me it was. It was for me, in my life, I feel that, and if you're listening to me right now, if you have this urge of like doing things on your own or things that you like to create and see the results of it, it's very likely that you are a natural born entrepreneur. And some of you that are natural born entrepreneur, you might be considered when you were in high school or when you were in school as the crazy kid because you were making, I don't know, like dirt cakes and just trying to sell them to the other friends or whatever is it that you were making. That's just like natural born entrepreneur. But you also have the people that, they got inspired about it because there was something that within them that were really good at it. And I think that is such a beautiful thing for any entrepreneur to do because there's always superpowers that you have. So for me, I was always that guy that I was like, I want to do something that I want to create. And I remember back in the day, so I went to school in Purdue as an engineer, and I caught myself a couple of times in labs for engineer stuff, geeky stuff, right? And I caught myself like saying crazy things like, I'm going to start buying domains to sell domains. And we're talking about back in like 1992. And so you will catch yourself saying all these things, but I wasn't really focused about it. I was just like, there's so much stuff around it. And for me was that I was fortunate enough that my roommate in college, his dad was the largest developer of real estate in the town that I grew up in. This is back in Puerto Rico. And I had an opportunity to see what was development, what was real estate. And what got me really excited about it was that it was a product that when someone received, they truly had a connection with. And that was what really drove me to it. It was even before like thinking of like, the mogul or there's a lot of money in real estate, but it was this passion to see people's joy to enjoy a product, which I'm sure a lot of you enjoy today. And there's three things, and I'll say this for a second, and you probably hear me say this again, but there's three things as us as human, we're constantly going to consume in our life, which is shelter, and it's food, and it's energy. And real estate happens to be shelter. So as long as humans exist, there's going to be a need of shelter. So it can be a house, it could be a tent, it could be under the tree, or you're somehow going to go look for a shelter. So I started with a passion of like, wow, this is a product that, people really enjoy. And so I started to like literally learn more about it, like going and working with developers and like literally just putting myself into the realm of real estate. And what I noticed about it, other than like people get really happy about receiving shelter, it was there's so much economic impact in real estate. The average real estate development or even a house built, it brings 27 different jobs directly and indirectly. And a lot of people don't know that, but it's a really service that you're creating into your community by being in real estate. So to me, it was like, wow, when I'm starting to find all these things, it's like double joyful because I love servicing. I love like, being in service of others. And so in that journey, it was like, okay, well, let me find more about it. And I didn't know much about it. So I was like the rest of the world that have a conditioning about like, okay, real estate investment is like, you're going to go buy a house. This is before the flipping shows. You're going to go buy a house and somehow you're going to rent it to someone and somehow you're going to get some cash flow and that's what you're going to do. And then you're going to buy a bunch of them and then you're going to grow old and then you're going to grow a belly and then you're going to be collecting rents. And I'm just telling you what was in my mind. I mean, as a guy, right? That's because in college, I had this landlord that he was just, I'm describing him, he would just come and he will knock on the door and he will ask for the rent. He's got this belly and he would tell it down. Is that right? Is that right? That's what he would say. So that's what I had as a picture. And then with with the flipping shows and now flipping houses, then started expanding the mindset of what's really real estate investment. But to me, it was a lot more than just like flipping a house or, buying a rental unit. It was to me like, what does real estate create? So within my journey, the creation of what real estate brings into the market was what got me started. And the first thing that I got was like, it was a duplex. I mean, I was like, well, why would I buy a duplex? And it was like many books I've read. And there was something I'm going to say later about like you read books and then you finish the book and then you read another book. And then, so there's a moment that you get to take action. So my action moment was to basically buy a duplex. And I thought I was going to be like the hero. And, I also speak Spanish. So I was like, this is awesome for me. So I speak the language. So, if I'm bringing the crew, I can communicate if someone speaks Spanish. So I was thinking like, this is so easy. And what I found myself was that it mentally was easy, but without having a structure or an intention of what I want to create for that duplex, I was setting myself up to make a bunch of mistakes, which I did. But it was a learning lesson to my life. But from that experience, what really inspired me was to grow, and I was questioning myself, like, what else, and how much money can I get in order to buy more? And so many questions arise. But what I wanted to share in this moment is all these questions are always going to arise from you taking action. And the beautiful part of taking action is it will reveal more questions that will always tell you, are you aligned, or is this something that fills you in that you want to pursue? And you're also going to find out if you are doing it all by yourself. I mean, it's for a lack of a better English word, it's like crappy road doing investments by yourself, specifically real estate, because real estate is not only about properties, but in reality, real estate is a people business. It's a service business. That's basically where it is. So that was my beginning of real estate. It's a bunch of mistakes and like curiosity and learning more about it and trial and error until at some point I had to make a choice and realize that this thing by myself wasn't going to work, because I ended up being a weekend warrior, which means that you have a job and all of a sudden during the weekend, that's when you go and do the rehab. And then you go and extend that over and over again. But yeah, that was the beginning. I mean, it was curiosity. I was like excited about it, and then I found myself into like, wow, I have a lot of questions. Which so, some of you that are listening to this right now may have a lot of questions. It may be that some of you are already an expert, an intermediate, and there's things that you still have questions about, because in today's day, I still have different questions. I mean, I've been in the business for 21 years, and up until today, I know some people might say, hey, this guy is an expert, a mogul, or whatever you want to call it. But in reality, I still consider myself a student of the trade of real estate because it constantly changes.
Yes, and we're always learning, right? It's never like you been investing for like 1 to 5 years and all of a sudden you know it all. Like there's always things. I feel like one of the reasons that I love real estate so much is because there's always something new. It's always something is always happening. You're always like, I don't know. There's never the same situation, right? And everything you do with real estate, it's so many new things that come out and things that you need to learn. And for me, I kind of like that, so
Yes, yes.
um but I want to tell the audience, how has real estate transformed your life in achieving financial freedom?
One of the things that it was a transformation was there was a realization that it happened for me through real estate. And when I was a kid, I used to be the guy that wanted to do everything. And what that does is like brings an element of heaviness to it, because in life you only have 24 hours. So when I started in real estate, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I was the weekend warrior. And when I started noticing, it's like, if I want to grow, how is it that these people have all this portfolios with a bunch of properties? And I was thinking, like, if I want to grow, there's something different. But I had this belief system in my head that I had to do everything myself. And the more I looked into it, that came from childhood. And basically my mom was, I love my mom. And mom, if you listen to this, I love you. But what I heard you say all the time was like, you can do it better than anyone, do it yourself. So that was a program that I had. And there was another one that I heard a lot, like, lock your doors, just don't talk to strangers, which is basically lack of trust. So I just caught myself like trying to do everything by myself, because subconsciously I wasn't trusting anyone to do it. And I'm doing it all by myself. So through this real estate, what was something that started to get me to the wealth path was the realization that real estate is a collaborative business. And I used to believe that, why would any investor invest in real estate other than in their own? Because if you do it on your own, you'll get the highest return of investment. That was my mind. And what I found through that was like a lot of headache and a lot of like heaviness and a lot of tiredness. And I realized, it was a moment that I realized that if I don't change the way I'm programmed in my head, it wasn't going to create success. And so there was a moment that I had an investor in, and I got really vulnerable with the guy. And I told the guy, I remember him, and I said to him, listen, I know my trade really well. And right now, the biggest challenge that I'm having is growth, and I need capital. And I have this thing that I'm afraid to ask you for capital, because I don't believe that people want to invest with others, and because you can make more. And I told him like this, you can make more money if you do it on your own. And as I'm just like being transparent to this gentleman, I love him. And Ron, if you're listening to this, I don't know, this, I'm talking about you. And he said, Alex, in life, and obviously he was probably 40 years older than me, and thank you for your wisdom. He said, as anything in life, if you don't do it by, if you do it by yourself, it's just going to be a very lonely road. And after he said that, he just told me, like, where do I wire the money? And I mean, I'm talking about 7 figures. Wow. And to my realization was, in order to get to wealth, was like, be open to collaborate with others. And as you continue to grow your business, the more value that you keep providing to others, it's going to give you what you're looking for. So it's giving to give, and from the giving to give, you'll receive. And to me, that was really what took the turning to real wealth. There's certain success that I had. I was doing apartment complexes. It was a point that it was close to 100 units. And it was, I always felt that there was a cap. There was a cap that I just couldn't break through. And it was just the ability to just, come to a place of vulnerability, authenticity, and just realize that people do want to collaborate with you. And what's on the other side, it's a lot of less of the heaviness. It's a whole lot of joy, because now you're collaborating with people. People are happy about things. People, create relationships. That's what really started getting me into like real wealth. And what happened after that was, I started to share my expertise. And, I worked with, together with Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki. We did a lot of stuff together. Yeah. I've mentored thousands of students in the United States, Canada, Mexico, China. And it also got me to do business in all those different places around the world. But one of the things was to share, to give, just like what we're doing right now, just to give away, what's the value, what are the things that people can use that are valuable to them, so they can start moving, towards a real estate investment journey, which would allow them to either travel the world, spend time with a family, give back, volunteering. It's like, yesterday I'm in the the Rotary Club, volunteering for different things. And what I found about that was like, wow, the more I'm out there sharing, the more my business was growing. So the wealth, the real wealth for me came from not the asset itself, the technical asset of the real estate, but it was what I chose to create using the asset of real estate, which is share it with others. And so, it does, like you said, it does have their differences, like, what we create technically this year is not what we created 10 years ago. And so the vision's still the same, which is basically support and create passive income investment, not only for myself, but also for other investors so they can enjoy their life and whatever they do. To me, it was because I like to travel and I love to spend time with the family, and more now because I have two beautiful girls as my daughters. And I'm like, I want this for everyone. So that's when the real wealth started coming. But, just know that if you stay within that parameter or that, that vision, it doesn't matter how many times the market changes, because there's always a technical aspect of it. Like, let me give an example. Let me go technical for a second. We didn't have the power of the internet back in the 90s. There was internet, not the power of the internet that has allowed us to have things like Airbnb and, many different ways of advertising. We have sold properties, through Facebook. And, it's like, whoa, that wasn't happening. So things are happening way faster right now. Information flows much, much faster. So, but it doesn't matter how technical aspects in the real estate investment world changes. If you stay true to a vision, that the value of it is like you bringing a financial freedom aspect for whatever it is to you listener right now, whatever it is that you want to create, collaborating with someone that it creates a through like really, really true win-win between everyone, then that's really wealth for me. And everything else is just a bunch of money that, I've generated.
And I want to add to that or comment to what you just mentioned. I really feel like, just when you do it by yourself, and I really love the fact that you mentioned the collaboration part, because when you do it yourself, then it takes away from spending time with your family, right? It takes away from spending time on traveling or things that you want to do. I love volunteering too, so it takes away. You're really doing it all day, and especially for people who are watching, who they have maybe a full-time job and they're starting to get into the real estate investing path. It's hard for you to have your full-time job, deal with your family, and then get into like the real estate investing. So that's what it's important to find a team that can work with a team that you trust, that can work with you, and and do it together, because then the work, the money comes, but then the work that you put into it's just much, much less. And also doing it with people who is experienced too, like that just takes it to the next level. So I'm happy that you mentioned that, because I think that's really important. If you just do it by yourself, it just takes a lot of time and effort and maybe a lot of headaches too.
It definitely gives you a lot of headaches for sure.
We can a little bit mention about your strategy, but maybe let's talk a little bit more of what is the investment strategy that has given you the most success in your 20 plus years of real estate experience.
The one it's just back to my vision of real estate investment was to gain time, to have time for myself. And so there's a spectrum. When you look at real estate investment, let's just look at a spectrum from 1 to 10. Let's just say that 1 to 5 is active and 5 to 10 is passive. So for me was moving from the active side to the passive side. And one of the things that I realized from the active side to the passive side is there's a different structure that you get to create when you're active and when you're passive. So for example, active people can say, well, I'm flipping a house, or I'm rehabbing and I'm renting, or I'm wholesaling. That's a technique that people use. And then when you start going to passive, it's more like, well, I'm gonna buy and I'm gonna rent a house, or maybe I buy an apartment complex, and that was at a certain extent. But the reality is, within real estate, when you start moving into passive, there's a whole lot more than just being in ownership of the property. it also means like if you see an asset, which is a real estate asset, how can that asset be utilized for money to work? So that's a very different strategy. And that now we're talking about like an equity investment within real estate or positioning yourself as a bank. So you can use real estate as a collateral in order for your money to work for you. So for me, when I started to move into that space, it was just, I mean, literally, it was a fluke. I was doing a subdivision development. It was about 270 homes or 300 homes. This was in the East Coast. And I found out that one of the builder buyers that was buying all the lots that I was developing, he just came up to me and he said, "Hey, Alex, the bank is not giving me money fast enough in order for me to build the houses for the demand that I have. So I would like you to just, you want to come join us and like, put some money and just also make a profit out of the build." So I thought about it for a second and then I said, well, what if I just, because I don't have time to be active in it because I still have to develop, maybe another 100 lots left. And then I said, what if I provide the money as a form of a loan, of capital? So what I noticed about it is that when I did that, all of a sudden, I'm getting money every month and it was protected by real estate. And I didn't have a tenant. I didn't have a toilet. I didn't have someone calling the management or the manager at the time that was managing my properties or myself. And I started to look into that. It's like, that was my aha moment. And so I started moving into placing capital. To me, I started to see what are the different values that real estate investment, they have a necessity. And one of them that is huge, and a lot of investors, one of the biggest reasons why they don't grow is because they don't have a knowledgeable strategy or process in where they can source the capital. And it's about like, what's the value and how do you create that value? For me was the value of capital. So the most successful for me for what I was aligning with, which is creating time. And I like to travel and I live in two places. I live in San Diego and I live in Puerto Rico. For me to create that and travel to different parts of the world, because we have a traveling family. We like to go to different places, and next year we're adding Spain into our life for living. It was I got to get into a strategy in which I get to still be in real estate investments, but use it as a hedging, meaning as a way for my money to be protected and also create more cash flow or capital, which is basically the strategy. Is I'm a lender, so I currently own a private equity hedge fund, and what we do is we provide capital to active real estate investors so they can continue to impact the communities, they can continue to build their portfolios, flip homes. So I'm still involved in real estate. I'm still collaborating in creating a difference for the local economy, whatever that project is, which is one of the things we spoke at the beginning of this interview. I'm still a part of it, but I'm coming from the perspective of I'm bringing the value of the capital. So that's been the success in my interpretation of what I wanted to create for my life. And that's one of the things that when people come and see us at our educational side, which is a simple path to investing, we help a lot of investors with the value of capital and how do they source capital, how do they raise capital, how do they structure deals in order for you to be on the passive side. It's okay to be on the active side, but if you also learn, how to create a lifestyle where you're on the passive side, it's also a win for you. And in reality, I'll tell you this, Mary, every investor that is active, subconsciously or consciously, wants to be passive. It is the reality. Sooner or later, they want it. And if they say right now, well, I just want to be active because I like my hands on, yes, I believe you. It's great that you want to do that. But at some point in your life, you're going to start asking questions about how do I just make this money that I have created for myself work for me so I don't have to be at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. like managing projects if you're managing projects right now or just construction or rehab or whatever it is going on. So every active investor wants to be a passive investor. So the strategy is position yourself as the value of capital when it comes to real estate investments so you can enjoy a passive income lifestyle.
I love it. I mean, that's kind of like a dream, right? What having money
Yeah.
work for you, like, and especially it allows the opportunity to, you're sleeping, you're doing whatever, and then still money is working for you. It's like just, it just comes down in the fact that I feel like the and I just got so excited. But I feel like, the fact that I guess the main point for what you said is like, think about the life that you want, and see yourself in that life, and then from there take the path that like is going to take you to that life that you want, right? If, like you said, if people wants to be active but eventually they want to do passive, then just know, like, as long as you have your line, paved, kind of like, and get to that point, then the strategies, and now you know how you can do it. But just think about what you want to do first, and then take that path.
Yes, I love it because the question of what do you want is really important. But when you ask yourself what do you want, is you're ready to start creating a vision for your life.
Yes.
And when you're giving yourself the space of the real what do you want, and you get to answer what you really want, that gives you the vision. And I want you to know that if there's any moment in where you're taking the exercise, and this is an exercise for you if you want to, create this for your life, I'll tell you this, take a moment and ask yourself, what do you really want, and create a vision from it. And notice if any kind of your inner conversation, it's coming out of fear. It's like, well, I don't know if I want that because I don't know how to do it. That's coming from a fear space. So you're not giving yourself the space of like, hey, you know what? It's possible for me. And if you don't think it's possible for you yet, it's because you're probably right now stuck in a place that you like to do things by yourself. Because whatever it is that you want to create, you can always ask for help out there, which we go back to like the real estate investment world. It's a collaborative world. And just know that whatever it is that you're declaring that you want, it's available for you out there. It's just you like really being intentional about like, I want to create that. I may not know how to do it right now, but that's what my desire is. Because when you do that, that's what that it's the rocket fuel that gets you up every morning. And so you can tell the difference between what's Monday or what's Saturday or what's Wednesday. And you're always like pumped up about it. And it's sad to say that sometimes, I have friends that they're not entrepreneurs. And it's really sad for me to see. And I tell them, it's like, it's really sad for me to see that on a day like today, because, while we're doing this interview today, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Like they're just like crazy waiting for Friday, like it's the best thing for happen to them. And I'm like, you're looking at Friday because it's you haven't been able to create a Saturday on a Wednesday. And it's like, let's look at why it's Friday so exciting for you, because now you get taking some time off and you're with your family, or you travel, or you do things that you love. You can create the same thing that on a Wednesday. One of the things that I enjoy the most is when I go I love surfing, but I love snowboarding too. It's like, I love skiing on Wednesdays, especially now the season's coming. I love skiing Vail on Wednesdays, because when I'm in that chairlift, I'm most of the time I'm talking to entrepreneurs. First of all, the mountain is all for us. And, I like my own freshies, which means that I like fresh snow. I love that. And I'm sure if you're a skier or snowboarder, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I love that on a Wednesday, I'm talking most of the time on the chairlift with another entrepreneur. And that's what I want for you too. And you don't have to wait till Friday in order for you to generate that. And so that's why being able to create your vision from a true what do I want, and let go for that moment. Just give yourself permission to not just like let the fear take over you. I mean, it's just dream it and declare it and be intentional about it.
I love that you mentioned that, Alex, because I'm not kidding, and this is like for real. On Tuesday, I thought, no, I think I was on sometime this week. I was in the wrong date, right? And I was doing
Mm-hmm.
a live. I was promoting the show live on my Instagram and Facebook, and I'm like, happy. I will say it was Tuesday, and it was Wednesday already. I said, happy Tuesday, everybody. And then I got some people saying like, it's Wednesday. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to like start putting attention of the time, the days I live in, right? Because day is like, I create, I don't ever wait for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I mix my days to however I want to, however I want to do them, and however it works for me. And two, like, I don't. it's just amazing. And that feeling of like, and it's so weird because I was like really like, oops, I didn't even know, right? And like,
Uh-huh.
legit mistake that I didn't even know. And I mean, I have to check my calendar, but I sometimes I just forget because every day for me is like I create my days however I want them to create them. So when you get to that point, it's just like you really want to invite people to feel that because you know, let's be honest, everybody wants financial freedom. If somebody says I don't want financial freedom, like that's probably a lie because there's so much something you can do, right? If you're not, I love traveling too. I love visiting my family in Mexico whenever I want to go and see them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just the things that you can get. I like volunteering. Like I go to Mexico. Every time I go to Mexico, I take like all these toys and stuff for the orphanage there. And I never think like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to work or things like that. So real estate has given me the opportunity to do all of that, and it's so amazing when you get to that level. But the reason that I wanted to add of this is because what you were right on the saying, when you create your why and then know what you want to do, it all just flows and it takes you there. But you need to know why you want to do what you want to do, like why you want this path and why you want this financial freedom. So just wanted
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it what you're saying. It's like you're sharing with us like what is the freedom that you get from it. And it's so amazing. It's guys, it's 90% intentional, 10% mechanical.
yes. I agree. I want to ask this question because I feel like a lot of people take, and I know you've did a whole video of it, but maybe if people is interested in more with this one question I'm going to ask you, they can go to your YouTube channel or whatever you posted this video of information. But I wanted to ask you, um, what do you say to people who ask you when is the right time to invest in real estate? I feel like people always say, oh, it's not the right time, or oh, like somebody told them like it's not the right time and they believe that person, then this person don't have any experience and they just stay stuck on that hole because they believe this person. So anyways, I'm asking all the experts and all the moguls this question because I want to get people out of their heads. So
Okay.
you say
So,
like that.
so I want to tell you what I say because like I was sharing with you, I just did a video for my community about this. So it's not about the question of when is the best time to invest in real estate. The real question that you want to ask is, what is the strategy of real estate investment that I should use in today's market right now? Because real estate is a asset producing a wealth asset. It's an asset that produces wealth at all times. And you might think like, well, when the market is going down, how is that producing wealth? Well, there's economic factors that when properties are going down in value doesn't mean that you have to sell at that point. It's how do you position yourself? Are you positioning yourself as the owner? Are you the one who have an equity stake? I mean, the question is, what is the correct strategy for me to use in today's market right now so my portfolio is well hedged, well protected? And so that is the real question. So in today's market, so I'll speak into today's market for a second. In today's market, we have come to a place that many markets, many bigger cities are noticing that real estate has becoming on, I mean, I call it on fire, but in reality it's unaffordable. So what happens is when you have unaffordability levels, one of the things that happens to real estate at that point, it doesn't mean that it's bad to get into real estate, but how do you get into real estate? Are you coming from the position of ownership? And if the position of ownership is going to give you the risk that you're willing to tolerate and the return that you desire to have, or the position of the equity is going to give you that, or the position of lending the capital will give you that. So I would say ask yourself. But before you ask yourself that question, you have to go through the process of what do I want to do? Do I want to be active or do I want to be passive? That's the first thing you get to ask yourself, active or passive. And then when you choose, then you ask yourself, okay, so I want to be passive in today's market. What is the correct, or what is the process, or what is the tool, or what is the way to be successful in today's market when my desire is to be passive? That's going to give you the answer. But unless you ask yourself those two questions, you're never going to get to the place of like, oh, I know now what to focus. And listen to me, focus, because the ability for you to focus is the one that is going to give you momentum, so you get to be in committed action. If you don't focus, what's going to happen to you, it's mentally you go to a place that you are in psychological assessment, which means that your mind is all over and that you've been driven by emotions, and your emotions are, I don't know, I'm confused. And then it really doesn't get you to action, but what it gets you is paralysis of analysis. So, just ask yourself active, passive. And the question is, in today's market, what will be the strategy that is going to get me to what I intend to create for my real estate investment portfolio for my cash flows?
Yes, that's actually a really good answer, and I love that you said that because yeah, it is always the right time, but then ask yourself that what is that you want to do, and then you can take action. So it's like I feel like people don't take action because they don't ask themselves first those questions, and then if they ask those questions, then well, then take some time too, right, on like kind of like deciding, and then they get into like, oh, it's too much work, I'm not going to do it, and they don't take action, and then they don't get to the financial freedom and time that they want, to achieve. So
Yeah. And for those of you who are technical, because you may be right there like, Alex, you left me hanging. So I'm just going to give you just a little bit. So it's when you do real estate, it's about when you place an investment, how do you hedge the investment? Hedging means if the investment takes a turn on the way down, then what do you do? So, imagine if you have money invested in the physical asset of real estate, what could potentially happen if the values go down? Well, I know a lot of people that are in real estate may not be thinking about stocks, but if you were to have real estate assets in a market that goes down, unless you're hedging, basically looking for another place, kind of like call it insurance. So let me give an example. When I'm buying real estate in a market that is overheated, when I am owning the property, you bet that we're hedging buying it. We're looking at what is the stock market doing when it comes to construction companies, because if the market goes down, their stock is going to go down. And if I'm shorting a stock that is going down, I'm making money. My values of real estate might be going down, but my investment on the stock market against real estate going down is going up. So I'm balancing the equation. So I'm just giving you that because I'm sure you're probably like, give me something. So here it is. I'll give you something for you to take on it. I mean, it's a little bit more, there's a lot more details to it, but at least I want you to start looking at possibilities that are available for you that would still get you excited about like, hey, I really can participate in real estate even though if the market is going down. So for you, or if you're cynical, and I get it, I was there too. I was like, I'm like always like, is that really true? Is that really happening? I was not. So I want to, yes, there is possibilities to make money in real estate even when the market is going down.
yes, I love that. And I'm so happy that you gave that extra because, yeah, people have these questions. But also, if anybody has any more like questions with, you have a channel, and I mean, I have other questions to ask you, but I want to mention that now so then you don't think like, oh, I really want to learn more about that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be having additional questions on that one. So you have your YouTube channel that people can go and check additional training that Alex has, so then they can research more about it too there.
Yeah, they can come on. We have a page in Facebook. It's called Simple Path to Investing, and I'm sure I'll send you a link. So if you want to share that with the audience, it's a Simple Path to Investment page. I do videos and I talk to the community. If you sign up for a newsletter, I send emails to our community about what's going on in the market. I send emails about techniques. I also sometimes I'm writing about things that are mindset wise, because real estate has two aspects. It's got the technical aspect, it's got the mindset aspect. So I think the combination of the two gives you a balanced life when you go into the real estate investment journey. So that can be access through the Simple Path to Investing Facebook page, or if you're signing up to a newsletter. And for those of you, I'll do this, Mary. For those of you who are listening, I'll give you the link. But there's a white paper that I wrote, and it's about how the wealthiest investors fund and invest in real estate. And so, that gives you perspective of, how we do it, at this level, instead of just like thinking that the conditioning of the world is for you, that you only have a chance by buying a house and fixing it and flipping it, or buying a house and, holding real estate as a rental. There's a lot more to it. So I want you to open to possibilities. So, this white paper that I wrote, for those of you guys who are interested in receiving it through email, I'd be more than happy to share with the audience.
Excellent. So what I will do on that, I will add that link to the interview when your interview airs, and then we can add it there so then people can immediately go. So right now, when you're watching this interview, you will see a link on the email, and then you can go there so they can see that, because I think that's amazing. So thank you so much. You're so generous. I love that.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I want to ask you, maybe this just maybe if you want to tell people, I feel like the audience, some people might be afraid of like the mistakes they can make along the way. So maybe you want to share anything that you want to share with the audience about any mistakes, if any, that you can, so they can, so you can help and maybe avoid those mistakes, and knowing that, maybe knowing that too can maybe help them take action.
Yeah, the biggest mistake I made was when I was doing it by myself. I'm telling you that. And when I look back at, what mistakes I made in real estate and those deals that did not go very well, I was that person that thought that I knew it all. And I wasn't open to anyone tell me or anyone give me feedback about it. So, big mistake is like, if you do it all by yourself, then it's a very likelihood that you might make a mistake. And I'm not saying that you don't have the power to make it happen on your own, but why carrying all that weight in your shoulders if there's no reason for you to do it? Again, the biggest growth in real estate is always going to be through collaboration. So just collaborate with others. There's people that, they can, overlook at your project, that's, bringing services into your deals, or, having a mentor, or having someone that has done this before with you that can support you. I did the same thing. I had mentors along the way. I didn't just like, was born knowing all this stuff. All along the way, I just had to humble myself and to ask questions. And, one of the biggest mentors that I've had in my life, he was the owner and president of a $10 billion bank. And I mean, I love him a lot. I mean, he's well, he's much older than me now. He's just all retired and he flies all over. And I was just talking to him 2 days ago. He was in Miami. He lives in Puerto Rico, but he travels all over the world. But just get yourself a mentor. Get yourself a mentor, someone that can see that, that you really want to create something with this business. And great mentors come from you having a desire to be in real estate investments, because it's much bigger than you. I promise you. Wealth, what does, at a certain level, it starts giving you things of like, okay, I'm really good at what I do. Now I want to solve the problems of the world. So when someone in that position sees that it's not just about you, I promise you they're going to be very happy, because wealthy people are very much givers for those that really connect with that. So just, give yourself an opportunity to collaborate with others, so your success come faster and, it's more joyful. It's a whole lot more fun that way.
It is so much fun, and you're so right, Alex. You know what? This I at the beginning of me doing the show, I was kind of like out of my comfort zone because I don't like being in front of the camera. So I knew my coach told me you need to do it, right? And then she helped me get out of my comfort zone, and I love her so much, and she has helped me get my business to the next level. But while doing the show and before even that, collaborating with other people has really take my entrepreneur and my business and everything to just the next level, and being around so many, like like-minded people, and people who uplift you and people that believe in you. It's just like something that it gets the best of you. And when you have make the best of you, it just really like everything you want to do, it just skyrocket, and you just do it and do it and do it. And it's like, And then you wake up and you're like, wow, how did it happen, right? To me, it was all with collaboration. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that because it just it really is. And I feel like a lot of people gets a little bit of the, they don't believe in that, but I couldn't imagine myself going doing everything by, on my own and getting to where I am right now without the help of, my coaches and my mentors and mastermind, and all of that. So I highly recommend it too. So
Yeah,
um
try it on and see. Try it on and see what happens.
well, I want to ask you one just last question. You have given us so much advice and like very, very unique techniques. I feel like this it's a little bit different from every all the experts because you're like, you talk about the stock market, which I feel like a lot of people is also interested in that. So maybe any just to end the show, like whatever else you want to give to the audience that you think they should learn and then they should know about for them just to like a final takeaway. Because I know you're such a giver and I feel like all of the experts are social givers. And then when you get to this path of success, it's you just really want to give and you want people to feel the joy and the abundance and the financial freedom and whatever they want to do in life, whatever that is. And we want people to experience it too. So with that being said, just whatever you want to add and give to the audience, I'm sure they will be super happy and excited to hear more from you.
All right, I'm gonna give you one to get you really good deals. How about that? So, in order for you to source good deals or source money, here's one thing that you can do, and this is something that is gonna give you some results. So I'll give you something in a short time that is gonna give you some results. So it has nothing to do with the technical aspect, but what it has to do is about what's the trust level. So if you measure the trust level between 1 to 10, everything at 10, people really want to give you stuff, really want to give you the best, always. Think about when someone else is, someone that you truly trust and they are at 10 with you, you really want the best for them. So here's an exercise. What I want you to do is like, within your circle, it's either a business circle, family circle, a friend circle. I want you to take an opportunity to talk to 2 to 3 people and just ask themselves, hey, I wanted to ask you this because I'm working on my ability to have relationship with people so I can collaborate in business or I can collaborate in anything in life. So I wanted to ask you this question. In our relationship as friends or family or coworkers, if we were to measure this from 1 to 10, and I would love you to be honest with me, where are we at? From 1 to 10, and 10 being the best and the 1 being, well, I get to make an effort about a relationship. And just take the feedback. If it's 5, great, ask him why and how can I make this a 10. And that exercise in itself, it start helping you build relationships at a 10, because that is what gets you the best deals. Best relationships, best deals. A lot of people said, like, I want to get the best deals. What kind of letter do I send, or how do I make this? Nothing to do with that. That comes secondary. I don't want you to discard that. That's still part of the process. But the reality is that when you are in relationship with people that you're a 10 and both of you understand where you are in the relationship, you're going to get the best deal.
I love it. And you that is all right. And I feel like people don't really think too much about it, right?
No.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they don't think about it. And for me, yeah, I thanks to my relationships and and not just building the relationship to gain something back. You want to give back. So it wanted to be like a mutual, like giving back, receiving, that type of relationship. So I love that you mentioned that, Alex. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm pretty sure. Where are you, in San Diego and Puerto Rico?
I'm in San Diego right now. We'll be leaving in Puerto Rico in 2 weeks. Yes.
Awesome. I was like, well,
Oh,
is
I have an event. And I don't know when this interview is going to be airing, but we have a free event in San Diego, December 7th and 8th. This month here in San Diego. It's a free real estate investment summit for those of you who would like to come.
perfect. So I will send an email out for that because the show airs on the 10th, so they won't be seeing that. But maybe what is there? Maybe we can figure something out for them to be able to get a little bit of that event, and maybe we
Yeah,
can
I'll send you a link.
yeah, we send the link with this interview, so you will be seeing. So this is like, this interview is gonna be full of like a lot of learning, right? We're giving you a lot of tools here. So go to the link so you can see his event. And you know what, and also he already gave you where they can find you: social media, Facebook, his newsletter. I am part of your newsletter, and I learned so much on a daily basis that I feel like I'm like really just go to find your newsletters, and I just, that's like my newspaper, right, of real estate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
I just
We
go to
put a lot of love in those letters. Like we really want to give people value.
You do, and I really love your newsletter, and it's like so informational. And I highly recommend for everybody to sign up for his newsletter as well. I love it myself. I've learned so much from it, and it gives me so much confidence to just to keep jumping to the next level of everything that I'm doing with my real estate career. But Alex, thank you so much. Enjoy beautiful San Diego, and thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for being
Mary.
part of the show.
Thank you, Mary. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.